And just like that, it's the middle of the week again, and we do hope you're having a great week so far. I'm Denise Tan, and as always, we bring you the latest news at this hour. So do stick around until 3 p.m. Welcome to Afternoon Delight. Okay, joining me this hump day, naku, hindi ko alam kung pwede kong tawaging tita to, pero the beautiful, ever so chic, Miss Danny Laurel is here to join us this afternoon.
Hello to our viewers and hi Denise. I'm not gonna call you tita, you're younger than me, but okay, it's a title I'm going to accept. I want to be the youngest looking tita, pwede ba?
Pwede, why not? Yan ang ilalaban natin for the rest of our lives. But again, for those who are wondering at hindi po nakapanood doon, nakatutok kahapon, nasaan nga ba ang ating Tito Lourdes Vera?
Ako ang nag-replace,
Oo,
diba?
Nagpapahinga po siya because today is his 35th birthday. Akala, mas bata pa sa akin si Tito Lourdes.
So nagsa-celebrate pa siya today,
Oo.
Denise, diba? So it's actually Lourdes, the Feast of Lourdes today. Is
oo.
that why he was named Lourdes?
I-confirm natin.
I-confirm
natin
natin.
kay Lourdes. But yun na nga, it's a feast of the Lady of the Lourdes at mukhang, again, bukas
Dito
malalaman natin.
yeah. It's also my dad's birthday, you know. And actually, my grandmother was such a devotee of the Lady of Lourdes. So, pinasesarian niya sarili niya to give birth to my dad.
Oh.
6 months, like premature. That's how much devoted. So, he was like, oh, I could have died.
There's a lot
but
of faith there,
I'm alive. I know, there's a lot of faith there. So, to everyone who's celebrating the feast day of Our Lady of Lourdes, you know, I hope that that brings us lots of blessings today. Also
Today.
to our Tito Lourdes.
That's right. And today is also, February 11, is also the International Day of Women and Girls in Science.
Alba, very nice. I'm glad we have a special day dedicated to that. I wasn't actually aware of that. I always thought March is always the Women's Month, diba? And we celebrate that. So this is a specific day dedicated to those choosing that profession.
Okay, now on to our headlines. There is no let-up in the back and forth between Philippine and Chinese embassy officials. Now it has come to tit for tat, with both parties hitting back with words and actions amid the still raging issues in the West Philippine Sea. News 5's Gio Robles has the details.
Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, is refusing to apologize for using a caricature of Chinese President Xi Jinping in a recent presentation. Senator Alan Peter Cayetano recently insisted that Tariela should apologize for the unflattering images of the Chinese leader.
I find it very weird, no? Bakit ako magsusorry? Kasi nga, ang tanong ko dyan, yung caricature ba na ginawa ko na yon is more than enough to compensate us dun sa harassment ng Chinese Coast Guard sa mangingisda, against the Philippine Coast Guard vessel, sa mga nakaraang taong pagharang nila sa resupply mission. My question is, when was the last time that Senator Cayetano stood up at sinabihan niya Chinese embassy, Chinese government, mag-apologize din kayo sa Pilipinas?
Cayetano likewise had an exchange with Senator Kiko Pangilinan ahead of the Senate's adoption of Resolution 256, which denounces recent statements by the Chinese embassy in Manila against Filipino officials. The resolution was formally adopted on Monday. The Chinese embassy rejected the resolution, with spokesperson Ji Lingpeng saying it misrepresents facts, misleads the public, and constitutes political maneuvering. G also criticized support for Tariela, accusing him of attacking China's leader and warning that such actions could undermine diplomatic norms and bilateral relations. Retired Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio told The Big Story that China cannot impose its domestic rules on the Philippines. He suggested pursuing another arbitration case to assert Manila's claims in the West Philippine Sea. Carpio stressed that the Philippines has sufficient historical records and legal documents to support its position in the disputed waters.
It's a matter of political will. Do we want to bring China to arbitration? Because the last time we did, we won overwhelmingly. And I think we will win again this time because we have all the documents, the maps, we have the oldest historical maps supporting our claim.
Carpio also accepted Senator Rodante Marcoleta's challenge to a debate, saying it would clarify that the West Philippine Sea is recognized under Philippine law.
There has to be a moderator. There will be a time limit for you to deliver your main arguments. You can rebut. That has to be organized that way. Otherwise, it will be chaos.
Meanwhile, Philippine Ambassador to the United States Babe Romualdez emphasized that officials should resolve disputes through direct talks rather than on social media.
In the diplomatic world, we always say that it's better to sit down and have a serious discussion rather than have pronouncements made through social media or in the media, because that will only heighten the conflict even more.
Meantime, China is pushing for faster talks on the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea. That's as the Philippines serves as ASEAN's chair this year. The call was made by Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Jing Chuan, during the 2026 Chinese New Year reception in Manila. Jing said both Beijing and Manila hope to accelerate consultations on the COC. He added that reaching an agreement would help manage maritime differences and strengthen bilateral relations. The ambassador also said COC talks have lasted over a decade and should now produce results.
And over at the Philippine Senate, the Blue Ribbon Committee report on the flood control scandal is yet to be revised and released, yet it is already fetching criticism. Panel Chairman Senator Ping Lacson took time to address speculations of a watered-down version of their findings. More from Mobile Journal, Marimon Reyes.
When a draft partial Blue Ribbon Committee report was leaked last week, it revealed the recommendation of criminal charges against several officials, including 3 incumbent senators. Chis Escudero, Jinggoy Estrada, and Joey Villanueva were supposed to face plunder, malversation of public funds, direct bribery, and other charges over allegations that they received kickbacks from flood control projects. Others who were recommended charged are former Senator Bong Revilla and former Representative Zaldico and Mitch Kahayun-Uy, but that leaked report has since been revised. Instead of charges, the committee report now states that it recommended the conduct of further investigation or case build-up against the said officials. Quite a turnaround for observers. But for Blue Ribbon Committee Chair and Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson, there is no substantive changes at all to the initial draft. The upper chamber's majority bloc merely suggested tweaking the language of the report.
Bakit yung language? Do they find it offensive?
Well, ganito, no, yung connotation, halimbawa, do sa draft na initially routed, merong word doon na charge, no? Recommended to be charged. Sa layman, pag sinabing charge, para nasa korte na, hindi naman namin pwedeng i-recommend sa court na i-charge sa court kasi only the DOJ and the Ombudsman are authorized to file the information for any person to be charged before the court, di ba? So kinorek lang namin yon. Ito yung tumama sa sensitivity ng ibang mga kasama namin na pag-charge. Pag-isipin ng mga tao, charge na sa korte.
Despite the changes in the initial committee report, Lacson maintained that the recommendation of his panel did not weaken at all. The senator likewise denied that the revisions were made because of supposed discontent in the minority bloc or due to the reported foiled coup against Senate President Tito Soto. Escudero, Estrada, and Villanueva belong to the Senate opposition.
Nothing to do with the supposed coup against SP?
Wala.
Yung pag-change ng language?
Ano yun? Sa majority pa lang yun. My own colleagues in the majority, nagsuggest sila, baka naman pwedeng isopen natin, na hindi ma-sacrifice yung intent. Hindi mababago yung substance. Kasi sabi ko nga may baseline ako di ba? Bottom line ko, hindi ko talaga i-report out yung hindi ako naniniwala.
The revised Senate Blue Ribbon report has drawn mixed reactions. Ombudsman Boying Remulla attributed it to politics, but he still believes Lacson did a great job with the flood control scandal probe and that the committee's findings would still be helpful in going after those implicated in the mess.
It's politics. Ano na yan eh? What is acceptable to all or to most is the most important thing. Kasi nga, nagkakapersonalan, siyempre may mga kaibigan niya sa loob na pipirma, wag lang nalagay yung pangalan. Gano'n yan. May negotiation yan. May compromise yan. Pero, at least, yung pagkapangalan sa kanila tsaka yung records intact. Ang mahalaga dyan, yung records ng Blue Ribbon Committee tsaka lahat ng testimonies niya. Yun ang mahalaga. Yung report niya kasi, anticlimactic yan eh. Kung ano alam natin, yun na yun eh.
Blue Ribbon hearing other critics have also accused the BRC report of bias. Lacson insists his committee based its report on evidence presented during the hearings and challenged critics to submit proof if they believe otherwise.
Kung meron silang ganong suggestion, mag-present sila ng ebidensya. No? Madali magsabi na bakit ito wala, bakit ito nandyan. Where's the evidence? They are members of the committee. Tumulong sila, hindi sila, instead na mag-criticize lang, tumulong na lang.
The revised Blue Ribbon report has not reached the minority yet, but Lacson is hopeful the measure would secure at least 11 signatures, enough to send it to plenary for discussion. Aside from charges, the report also holds recommendations for legislation and other measures to prevent further corruption in government projects. Kapatid mobile journalist Mary Mon Reyes, we are One News.
And more from Blue Ribbon Chair Senator Ping Lacson, who is reacting to Ombudsman Boying Remulla's remark. Revisions in the BRC report were a product of politics. In a statement today, Lacson said Remulla, being a former congressman, knows the, quote, play of politics in Congress. He then assured the ombudsman that all testimonial and documentary evidence gathered during the hearings continue to guide the committee's recommendations. Lacson added that only minor words and phrases were revised in the leaked draft to clarify some vague descriptions. He maintained that the core findings and conclusions of the Blue Ribbon report remain intact.
And staying with the Senate, we have our mobile journo, Mary Mon Reyes there right now. Mary Mon, alam mo, ang daming ganap dyan sa Senado, pero umpisahan natin doon sa mga reaksyon ng mga senador sa statements ng Chinese Embassy when they called the resolution a political stunt. At ang sabi pa nila, ito daw mga legislators natin, repeatedly, resorting to threats and intimidation.
Denise, Danny, magandang hapon. Kani-kanina lang sakto nakapanayam ng media si Senate Committee on Foreign Relations Chair Senator Erwin Tulfo at ang nasabi niya, karapatan daw ng Senado na maglabas ng kanilang mga posisyon, especially ng resolution on issues surrounding the country. Kasama na dyan yung girian patungkol sa West Philippine Sea. At ang sinasabi pa nga ni Senator Erwin, lahat ng kanilang ginagawa, ito rin daw ay nasasakop ng freedom of expression, na wala naman daw nililimitahan ang saligang batas na kailangan pagka naka-uniforme raw ba, may limitasyon dito. Siguro kung diplomat, baka iba raw ang usapan. Ito kasi ang context nito, yung tungkol naman kay Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, na tinitignan ng Chinese Embassy na may pagkamalisyoso daw yung pagsagot ni Commodore Tariela. Ang sabi dito ni Senator Tulfo, hindi naman daw siya diplomat eh. Siya ay representative ng Coast Guards na ngayon nagpapatrol, na pinoprotektahan at dinedepensahan ang WPS laban sa ibang mga pangangatawan or ng Chinese Coast Guard vessels. So kung ang sabi ni Senator Erwin, kung meron daw taong pwede magsalita tungkol dyan, that would be Commodore Tariela. And siguro kung diplomat daw si Tariela, baka raw ang iba ang usapan nun. Siyempre, iba ang ine-expect na pagkilos, pananalita doon sa host country pagka pumunta yung diplomat. Pero since nandito at na-witness mismo, naranasan mismo ng Coast Guard sila Tariela kung ano yung nangyayari sa WPS, parang may karapatan daw siyang magsalita. At ang sinasabi naman sa isang pahayag ni Senator Riz Hontiveros, legitimate at saka appropriate tool for legislators to express concern over actions that affect the Philippine Seas, etong nilabas nilang resolution. So wala silang nakikitang mali siya doon, yun lang din daw talaga yung kanilang magagawa, lalo pat hindi na raw biro ang nangyayari sa West Philippine Sea. Denise.
Mary Mon, sorry, isisingit ko lang yes, Commodore Tariela is not a diplomat, but as a representative of the PCG, there is no actual rule as well na pwede niyang sabihin yung kanyang mga sinabi because he also spoke to sila Manong Ted, I believe this was yesterday or 2 days ago, na sinasabi niya, matagal niya nang ginagawa to even in a classroom setup, bakit ngayon lang daw nasita?
Yun nga, Denise, ang sabi pa nga ni Senator Tulfo, tinignan niya lang kagabi yung Constitution. Wala naman daw nakalagay doon na footnotes na kapag naka-uniform daw ba, may limitations kapag galing daw ba sa Coast Guard, may limitations yung pagsasalita. Kasi nga raw, lahat ng mga ito naman, nakikita niya, pinoprotektahan ng saligang batas ng Constitution. Kaya nakikita niya na kung ito daw yung nararanasan at ito yung nakikita ni Commodore Tariela, may karapatan daw siyang magsalita tungkol dyan. At ang sinasabi pa nga dito ni Senator Tulfo, sila namang mga senador, ngayon, ipinapaubaya rin ng komite sa Department of Foreign Relations, yung Department of Foreign Affairs rather, kung ano yung sunod na action na gagawin. Kasi inaantabayanan na rin nila ngayon yung pagbubuo talaga ng Code of Conduct na magtutukoy sa kung ano nga ba, paano nga ba yung magandang pakikitungo ng mga karatig bansa pagdating sa usaping ng pandagat. Yung ang sabi ni Senator Tulfo dyan, paubaya daw muna sa DFA at mukha naman so far, amenable naman daw ang bansang China dito, kaya he's hoping for the very best patungkol sa isyong ito.
Marymon, ano yung totoong threat of this specific issue? Meron bang threat na madidelay yung Code of Conduct, or is this just a diplomatic issue? And do you feel that it's already toning down na natatapos na tong issue na to? Or may escalate pa ba to?
Dani, kasi sa pagbabantay din natin on the defense side, yung Code of Conduct kasi medyo ilang taon na rin yung lumilipas na binubuo talaga ito. So that includes din yung ilang mga bansa, so Vietnam, Brunei, ang Pilipinas, ang China. And ang pinaka-problema rin kasi dito is the technicalities, especially na on a certain perspective sa ibang mga bansa, kailangan nilang kunin talaga yung magiging opinion nila para mabuo itong COC or Code of Conduct. Pero yun nga, ang nasabi naman daw ni Secretary Lazaro dito kay Senator Tulfo, mukhang amenable naman ang bansang China dito sa Code of Conduct. Kaya ang inaasahan na lang nila, sana hindi na mag-escalate further, lalo pa ang sinasabi naman ni Senator Erwin, ang gusto lang naman nilang mangyari dito, maprotektahan daw yung mga mangingisda, hindi daw sila pagbabawalan sa freedom of navigation doon sa karagatan, at wala nang masasaktan pa sa isyung ito.
Sorry, Marymon, one more, no? Humihiling ba ang China ng formal apology? And at this point, of course, Jay Tariela is not issuing an apology. What's the status there?
Yan yung isa sa pinaka-nakikita din ngayon ng mga senador na naging problema. Though, for example, no, sa plenary session na sinasabi nila Senator Kiko Pangilinan, parang ang dapat pong tiryahin talaga dito yung pambabatikos ng Chinese Embassy laban sa mga institusyon o kaya naman sa mga opisyal ng ating gobyerno na pinoprotektahan lang ang karapatang pandagat ng Pilipinas. Yun nga etong si Commodore Tariela, he's staying very strong on his note na yung kanyang pinaglalaban ay yung karapatan ng Pilipinas, karapatan ng bansa. It doesn't mean no other malicious intent. Pero yun nga lang, on the side of the Chinese Embassy, mukhang nakikita nila may malisyosong intent talaga itong mga pagtugon ng ating mga opisyal patungkol dyan. So kasama na dyan itong Senate resolution na inadopt ng Senado, yung Senate Resolution number 256 na expressing the sense of the Senate tungkol nga sa pambabatikos ng Chinese Embassy. And nagkaroon pa nga dito ng pag-iimbita si Senator Rodante Marcoleta to a healthy debate daw patungkol sa issue na to, kung saan si Justice Carpio tinanggap niya yun. Pero so far, on this side of Senator Marcoleta, wala pa tayong nakukuhang tugon kung moving forward, matutuloy nga ba itong debate tungkol sa issue na ito.
Okay, Marymon, since nabanggit mo na rin si Carpio, pag-usapan natin si Justice Carpio at pati na rin si Justice Azcuna, dahil parang dalawa sila na magkaibang pinanggagalingan in terms of talking about what do you call this? The anti-dynasty bill. Oh, sorry, pipihit lang ako ng konti. The anti-political dynasty bill. Ano ba yung sentimiento ng dalawa?
Pagdating kasi dito, actually ngayon nagko-conduct din ng consultative meetings ang Committee on Electoral Reforms. Nung isang araw, nasa may Pasig sila. Kanina naman, nasa may Laguna. And so far kasi ang pinaka gustong malinaw dito ni Senator Liz Hontiveros, yung lawak, yung scope, hanggang anong level ba ng civil degree of consanguinity. Ang lumalabas, merong may gusto, second civil degree, hanggang fourth civil degree. Ito yung hanggang pinsang buo. Ang tinatanong din dito is yung dapat ba sabay-sabay, simultaneous ba na ang isang political family, dapat ba sabay-sabay na nakapwesto, ipagbabawal na, or kapag kaiba-iba yung posisyon at a certain time, okay lang ba yun o hindi? And yung enforcement ng law kung sakali. Dito papasok sina Justice Azcuna and yung iba pang mga constitution framers ng noong 1986, at ang nakikita nga nila dito, kailangan daw maging technical talaga kasi ang isang concern nila, kung kunwari papasok na hanggang fourth civil degree of consanguinity, hanggang pinsang buo, ang nasabi pa nga dito ni Attorney Christian Monsod at napagdebatehan din nila Justice Azcuna, baka raw mahirapan ang COMELEC sa pagtatrack ng kamag-anakan ng ilang mga kandidato o kaya naman nanunungkulan na. Yung isa pang na-bring up din na issue was yung suggestions na kapag ka naipasa na ito, yung mga first time pa lang nanunungkulan, baka first term pa lang nila, baka mapapayagan ba silang tumakbo for the second time around
So yan yung ilan sa mga kailangan pang ituwid bago maisapasa talaga itong anti-political dynasty bill. Pero ang nasabi dito ni na Senate President Tito Soto, parang mas maganda raw na wag piliting maipasa agad dahil kapag ka pinipilit na totally agad, baka lalo raw hindi ito maipasa na legislation.
Pero Merimon, di ba ang reports say that the president wants this done by June. So hindi ba kailangan na nga siyang
Clarify
maipasa
at
talaga?
least.
Oo.
It's in
Kasama
one of
nga
the
siya sa
21.
priority bills. Even nung last na LEDAC meeting, kasama rin dyan yung Independent People's Commission, yung pagbubuo nito. Ang nasabi naman ni na SP Soto, patungkol naman dyan, hindi naman sila nagsasayang ng oras. Kaya nga, sunod-sunod na araw, for example, ngayon nasa Laguna, itong sila Senator Risa. Sa nakita natin, may next leg pa sila sa Central Luzon and sa ibang regions pa ng bansa. Kasi nga gusto na rin talaga nilang mabuo yung magiging framework ng anti-political dynasty bill. Kaya ang sabi din naman ni na Senator Risa, naniniwala sila and they are hopeful na by this Congress din, mabubuo na nila at maipapasa nila itong anti-political dynasty law.
Can you clarify lang, Mary Mono? So in the Constitution, meron na yung provision na yan for the 4th degree for the President lang, di ba? And then ngayon dinidebate if they can do that until LGU level. Is the debate on whether this bill will really pass or is the debate on whether secondary or second degree versus 4th degree? Ano yung totoong debate? Yes or no? Or anong level ng degree?
Kung sa nais na maipasa yung anti-political dynasty bill, marami mga senador talaga, in fact majority gusto talaga nilang maipas na to. Even coming from Senator J.V. Ejercito, sina Senator Erwin Tulfo na parehong nanggaling sa political families. Ang pinaka nagiging concern kasi sa pagbuo nito, yung technicality. So tama, that includes yung degree ng consanguinity and yung hanggang saang level ng constituency yung masasakop nito. Ang sabi din kasi dito ni Attorney Christian Monsod, dapat mas okay din daw isama na at di barangay level na mas malapit daw sa tao yung kapangyarihan ng local government. So yun yung isa sa pinaka naging suggestion, kung magkakapasa din daw ng anti-political dynasty bill, isama na rin daw at the barangay level para masiguro na lahat ng check and balance magagawa. Ang nasabi naman kahapon na sa Pasig ni Kiko Aquino, co-convener siya ng Anti-Dynasty Network, sa kanya ang nasuwestiyon niya, maganda rin daw aralin yung crossing ng constituency. So for example, kapag may kongresista raw o kaya tapos may mayor na magkamag-anak na parehong nasa posisyon, etong mga kongresista nagre-review ng budget nitong mga mayor o kaya naman daw ng governor, may conflict daw doon. Kaya yun yung ilan sa mga nagiging concern ngayon na kailangang linawin para masiguro na kapag in-implement na anti-political dynasty bill or law, walang matatamaan or dapat malinis na talaga yung pag-opisina ng mga magiging kandidato o mamumulitiko.
Okay, Merimon, pihit ulit tayo dun sa usapin naman ng online gambling. Balita ko, kaninang umaga ay may nasabon kagad itong si Senator Raffy Tulfo.
Oo, kanina sa pagsisimula nung pagdinig ng Committee on Games and Amusement, nagpa-play agad ng live stream na during that time naka-live stream yun na sabong itong si Senator Raffy Tulfo. And ang sinasabi niya, itong sabong na to, yung event ay galing sa malaki, sa kingpin daw ng sabong industry na kine-question niya, over 1.3 billion pesos ang budget, ang intel funds na meron ng kapulisan. And starting last year, bakit hanggang ngayon daw, hindi raw nasusugpo itong mga malalaking pangalan. Ang nabalita naman kasi ng PNP, doon sa kanilang e-sabong monitoring, around lagpas 7,500 na yung kanilang na-surveillance and halos maubos na nila yung 7,000 na yun na pinatake down ng mga website, ng mga platform. Yun nga lang, ang nagiging concern nila dito na nakita rin ng CICC, ng DICT, nagkakaroon ng rebranding. So pagkatapos, pag na-take down daw itong mga website or platforms, magbubukas daw sila ulit ng bago, either ibang pangalan, o kaya naman ang mangyayari, nagpakita pa si Senator Sherwin ng example, open ngayon yung website, tapos nung nabalitaan daw na may hearing ang Senado, biglaan daw naka-take down yung website na yun. Kaya ang sinasabi dito ni na Senator Tulfo, hanggat maaari daw, pugsain na lahat. Small operators man daw yan ng sabong, big operators man daw yan ng sabong. Kasi as long as nandyan daw yung mga yan, very prone daw sa kahirapan at naa-addict daw lalo ang kabataan, lalo na kapag may access daw sila sa internet. At ang sinasabi naman din dito ng PAGCOR, yung pag-i-issue din nila ng lisensya, binabantayan din nila ito. Lahat din daw ng illegal gambling websites or platforms, tinitake down na nila. And malaking bagay din kasi meron na rin silang system online na mas mas napapabilis yung pag-track at pag-monitor ng mga website na lisensyado o kaya naman hindi.
Raymond, pahabol lang mabilis. Identified na ba nila kung sino yung sinasabi nilang may-ari nito?
May mga nabanggit kasing pangalan, itong sila Senator Tulfo, pero ang nabanggit nito specific, Region 3, Region 4, Central Luzon, so it's CARC. So yun yung ilan sa mga sinasabi nila, very prominent daw yung mga big names pagdating dito sa Sabong. And since, yun yung pinaka-concern niya yung sa laki-laki raw ng intel funds na meron sila. Bakit daw yung mga maliliit lang na operators ng Sabong ang napupungsa ng kapulisan? Doon pa nga nasabi ni Senator Tulfo, kasi raw baka raw may habol, baka raw kakilala, baka raw may request, may kabit daw. Kaya yun yung, ang sabi naman dito ng kapulisan, they promise naman daw na they will pursue it without any other fervor. Wala naman daw favor na hinihingi sa kanila. So far, yun yung naging pangako nila. Interagency cooperation na para itong gambling or yung Sabong, matugis na raw talaga nila ng tuluyan.
Parang flood control lang, yung big fish wala pa rin. But anyway, thank you for your update. That was our mobile journalist, Merymon Reyes, reporting to us live from the Senate. And at this point, we need to take a quick breather. We have more stories for you, and Afternoon Delight returns. Stay with us.
This is AP News Minute. Ghislaine Maxwell invoked her Fifth Amendment right to avoid answering questions that would be incriminating. Maxwell, the former girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein, appeared by video before a House committee. She is in prison for sex trafficking. Her attorney asked to have President Trump end her sentence. He said she would testify that Trump and former President Clinton are not culpable of wrongdoing. The FBI said it is not aware of any communication between Savannah Guthrie's family and her mother's suspected kidnappers. It also said no suspects or persons of interests have been identified. Funding for the Homeland Security Department could run out within days. Democrats are pushing for new restrictions on President Trump's immigration crackdown. President Trump is threatening to block the opening of a new Canadian-built bridge that will connect Canada and Detroit. The Gordie Howe International Bridge is expected to open this year.
This is AP News Minute. Authorities investigating the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie released images of surveillance video showing a masked person on her porch the night she went missing. The person appears to be wearing a handgun holster and attempts to cover the camera. The images are the first major break in the investigation to be made public. The National Governors Association said it would no longer hold a meeting with Trump later this month after the president planned to only invite Republican governors. Democratic governors also announced on Tuesday that they would boycott a traditional dinner at the White House. While testifying at a subcommittee hearing Tuesday, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick admitted that he had met with Jeffrey Epstein twice after his 2008 conviction. Lutnick previously claimed that he had cut ties with Epstein after 2005. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer averted a leadership challenge Tuesday amid continued fallout from released Epstein files relating to Peter Mandelson. Mandelson was appointed as the UK's ambassador to the US by Starmer in 2024, but was fired in September following an earlier release of files that connected him to Epstein.
And you're still watching Afternoon Delight on One News. Ako po si Denise Tan.
And I'm Danny Laurel. Thanks for staying with us.
Now, in the news, the House plenary is expected to take up the impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Duterte in its session today. And for the details, we bring in mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Amy, kamusta yung mood dyan and how do you think this will go?
Yes, good afternoon, Danny. Denise, dito naman nga sa House of Representatives, syempre inaasahan na later on sa pagsisimula nga ng plenary session dito sa Kamara ay magkakaroon na nga ng referral ang tatlong impeachment complaints laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. So far ngayon medyo tahimik pa dahil kahapon kung maalala natin ay nagkaroon nga ng botohan dito mismo sa Kamara tungkol naman sa impeachment complaints ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos dahil kahit napagbotohan na yan ng House Justice Committee ay kinakailangan pa rin syempre na mapagbotohan ng 318 representatives natin dito sa Kamara yung mga reklamo nga na inihain dyan. At with 284 affirmative, 8 negative at 4 abstain votes ay tuluyan na ngang ibinasura yung mga impeachment complaint laban kay Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. So after nyan, syempre inaasahan na natin na ilalagay naman sa order of business itong ang tatlong inihaing reklamo laban naman kay VP Sara. Denise?
What time po yung House plenary? What time can we expect those that voting results?
Yes, Danny, ang usual system dito sa Kamara, 3 p.m. magsisimula yung plenary session at yun nga nagkakaroon kasi ng roll call tapos after nyan binabasa na ng Committee on Rules yung mga bills na na-file pati na rin itong sa impeachment. At pag nailagay na yan sa order of business, yun na yung magiging proseso. Magsisimula na rin ang House Justice Committee para nga mapag-usapan itong impeachment complaints ni VP Sara. At actually, meron niyang dalawang ruta kung sinasabi nga dito. Una ay kung hindi yung regular route na sinasabi dito ay i-refer siya sa House Justice Committee. Tapos pag-uusapan na yan ng House Justice Committee sa kanilang preliminary at the same system din, katulad nung nakita natin sa impeachment complaints ni PBBM na merong silang determination sa sufficiency in form and in substance nitong mga inihaing reklamo. Pag naman na yung fast tracking nito, syempre doon na yung magkakaroon ng signatories from at least 1/3 ng mga members ng House of Representatives or 106 votes. At doon nga, pag napirmahan nila yan, ay syempre magtutuloy-tuloy na at magsisimula na yung paggagawa ng impeachment articles laban kay VP Sara.
Okay, Amy, paki-clarify lang ulit kasi di ba tatlo na yung impeachment complaints against the VP? Ano ba yung similarities? Ano yung pagkakaiba? I mean, aside from the testimony of Ramil Madriaga, is there anything that stands out? At ano ba yung mga nag-a-align sa tatlo?
Yung tatlong impeachment complaints, yung first two na na-file last week, February 2, at yung third naman ay na-file this week ng Monday, February 9, ay ang pinakadinadali kasi niyan, Denise, ay yung confidential funds nga na ginasta ng Office of the Vice President pati ng Department of Education. Yan yung pinaka-common ground of sa recital of facts na naipresenta nga doon sa mga impeachment complaint na inihain dito sa Office of the House Secretary General. Bukod pa dyan, nakita rin natin yung grave threat doon nga sa high-ranking officials kasi kung maalala natin 2024 nagkaroon ng press conference itong si VP Sara via Zoom kung saan dinali niya nga rin yung si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, asawa nito na si Liza Marcos, pati na rin si former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. So kasali rin yan dyan. At kung hihimayin pa natin yung tatlong impeachment complaints, meron ding nakapaloob dyan yung hindi pagpapakita ni VP Sara sa mga hearing dito sa Kamara nung pinag-uusapan na nga yung mga accomplishment reports naman na ipinasa niya sa Commission on Audit, pati yung temperamental instability daw ni VP Sara kung saan nga nagkaroon daw, mas kilala daw siya technically sa kanyang emotional outbursts kesa sa performance niya bilang Vice Presidente ng ating bansa.
Amy, last two questions. So the first is, meron bang limit ng number of impeachment na pwedeng talakayin? Kasi parang ito nakatatlo na. After this, tapos mag-vote sila. Pwede bang ulitin na naman yung proseso? Or tapos na to, we can all move on? And the second question is, pakipaliwanag nga sa amin, Amy, yung sinasabi ni Justice Committee member Congressman Terry Ridon about this.
Yes, ito nga impeachment complaints dahil nga hindi pa nailalagay sa order of business at nasa Office of the House Speaker pa lang hanggang ngayon, if may gusto pang maghain ng kanilang complaint today at hindi pa nga mailabas yan sa plenary ngayong araw, ay sa mga susunod na araw naman ay pwede pa rin mag-file ng complaint laban kay VP Sara dahil ang tinitingnan natin dito ay kung kailan nga ba talaga mailalagay sa order of business yung mga reklamong yan. So far ay tatlo nga yung natanggap natin. Pero ito nga sinasabi nating impeachment complaints din, syempre dahil nasa Office of the Speaker na siya, doon na magsisimula din yung 10 session days para nga mailagay niya sa order of business. So far, nasa third session day pa lang tayo ngayong araw at magtutuloy-tuloy ang bilang niyan. So doon lang sa time frame na yon maaaring mailagay yung order of business. Ito nga yung naging issue rin doon sa nakaraan dahil hindi naman daw nailagay sa order of business yung mga impeachment complaints laban kay VP Sara, kaya natawag din itong unconstitutional at lumabag nga daw sa 1-year ban rule. So iintayin natin na if today, February 11, ay mailalagay ang into order of business itong mga impeachment complaint, ay doon na din magsisimula yung bilang ng 1-year ban rule dito nga sa paghahain ng impeachment complaint. So hindi na maaaring mag-file ng panibagong reklamo laban kay VP Sara if ever lang na today nga talaga ma-file yung if ever lang today talaga mailagay sa order of business itong mga reklamo. At yung bukod naman dyan, Danny, yung sa kay Representative Terry Ridon, Sinasabi niya nga na maaaring ma-fast track ng House of Representatives ito once may 106 votes na makukuha at may signatories ng mga kongresista para nga mapabilis itong impeachment laban kay VP Sara. So hindi na niyan kinakailangan dumaan sa preliminaries ng House Justice Committee para ma-identify kung sufficient informed and in substance itong mga reklamo. Ang kinakailangan na lang ay gumawa na agad ng impeachment articles para nga mapatunayan na impeachable official at doon na mare-refer ito sa Senado naman.
All right, thank you for that report, mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Meantime, here's a quick rundown of more stories on One News. The Philippines sank to its worst ever ranking in the 2025 Corruption Perceptions Index by Transparency International. The country fell 6 spots, ranking 120th out of 182 economies with a score of 32. This is our worst showing since the index began using the 0 to 100 scale in 2012. Vice President Sara Duterte's net satisfaction rating rose to positive 28 in the November 2025 survey of the social weather stations. This is up 6 points from positive 22 in September. The same survey showed Senate President Vicente Soto with a positive 16 rating, Speaker Boji D with positive 5, and Chief Justice Alexandra Gesmundo with positive 9. The SWS poll was conducted among 1,200 adult respondents nationwide from November 24 to 30. The controversial Rolls-Royce, owned by contractor Sara Diskaya, has been sold in auction today. The lone bidder, Igorot Stone Kingdom Incorporated, purchased the vehicle by bidding just 1,000 pesos over the floor price. TV host Willie Revillame was also among the bidders of the seized cars. And former Senator Cynthia Villar has explained the viral video where she was seen having a confrontation with her subdivision's homeowners association. Her camp accused the HOA of installing illegal no U-turn signage and billboards in front of Villar's house. They further claimed that some individuals trespassed and provoked the former senator.
And we also give you a quick look at stories from our media partners. The Philippine Star is reporting about the Transportation Department removing a viral tackless signage at the MRT3 Shaw Boulevard station. The sign read, quote, "Each step you climb is a gift to your heart, lungs, and muscles." But the DOTR said the signage does not reflect the agency's official position. The MRT3 management further said, and we quote, "The convenience of the commuters is always our priority." Meantime, on Business World, one headline reads, FDI net inflows hit a 4-month high. Foreign direct investments were up in November of 2025. That's even as inflows slipped year-on-year, according to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. FDI net inflows dipped 0.3% to $897 million. That's from $900 million in November of 2024. The last high FDI inflows were recorded in July last year at $1.271 billion. And for more details on these stories, you may visit the social media pages of the Philippine Star and Business World. Do check out as well the social media platforms for One News PH for the very latest headlines.
Now, the third edition of the Trillion Peso March is slated on February 25, coinciding with the 40th anniversary of the EDSA People Power Revolution. For the details, we have mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. Arles, alam natin madaming activities lined up from today up until the 25th. Pero ngayong araw na to, ano ba ang plano?
Denise, ngayong araw nga ay isinagawa yung press conference para nga sa plano na ikatlong Trillion Peso March kung saan pagsasama-samahan ito ng iba't ibang mga civil society organizations patungkol pa din doon sa kanilang panawagan na pagpapanagot sa mga dapat managot. Gayon din yung pagbuwag ng mga political dynasties, yung pagbabawal sa pagtakbo ng paulit-ulit na mga pamilya at kabukod pa dyan, syempre yung kanilang panawagan na yung mga may kinalaman daw dito sa malawakang korupsyon na kinarap ng bansa ay umamin na. Isa yan sa mga bagay na napag-usapan ngayong araw dahil nga sunod-sunod yung magiging pagtitipon at mga programa ng Tindig Pilipinas. Gayon din yung iba't iba pang mga grupo kagaya na lamang ng grupo ng BAP, yung Buhay, ang People Power Campaign Network, Buhay ang People Power Campaign Network, gayon din yung Simbahan at Komunidad Laban sa Katiwalian o yung SICLAB, gayon din yung mga kaparian na nakasama natin dito. No? Layo ng Caritas Pilipinas na ipagpatuloy daw yung kanilang krusada na 4 na dekada na nilang ginagawa para labanan ang korupsyon at ngayon, syempre, additional na mga concern din ay yung pagbuwag nga sa mga political dynasties. Dadaluhan din ito yung nationwide na commemoration ng 86 Catholic Diocese sa buong Pilipinas at ng iba pang mga civil society organizations dito sa bansa.
Arles, this is the 3rd trillion peso march, no? And nakita natin sa second na bumababa ang participation ng mga tao. What do you expect for this third time? Galit pa ba ang mga tao? And given that it's the EDSA Revolution Anniversary, meron bang more weight because it's gonna be on Feb 25?
Dani, meron talagang weight daw, no? Itong February 25 na ika-3 trillion peso march dahil ito yung ika-40th na anniversary ng People Power Revolution kung saan ito lang nga daw bookend yung nangyari, no? 40 years ago, napatalsik sa diktadorya ang ama ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos na si Ferdinand Marcos Sr. Pero 40 years later, isang Marcos muli ang nakaupo sa posisyon kung saan meron mga issue ng korupsyon at iba't ibang mga katiwalian na nangyayari sa bansa. So tinawag nila yung bookend, no? Pero sa kabila niyan, hindi naman nila tinukoy kung ilan yung numero na maaaring asahan, no, dito sa kanilang mga programa dahil ayon sa kanila, ito daw ay bukas sa publiko, no. Inaanyayahan nila ang lahat na ipaalala sa kanila na dahil sa pagkilos o sama-sama pagkilos ng taong bayan ay muli raw nakamit nito yung kanilang mga karapatan at kalayaan doon, at least for what they said, no, yung madilim na yugto ng ating kasaysayan na ngayon daw syempre natatamasa natin. Kagaya na lamang syempre nung pag-upo ng Pangulo natin na si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos compared 2 years ago nang idineklara nga yung martial law, no. Bukod pa diyan, magkakaroon din kasi ng iba't ibang mga pagtitipon pa, no. Leading up to the February 25 date, magkakaroon ng symposium at ilang mga misa sa ilang mga paaralan kung saan naman sa February 22 nakatakda yung Walk for People Power sa Araneta Center, Cubao. Papunta yan doon sa EDSA Shrine kung saan naman magdaraos ng isang misa na pangungunahan ni Cardinal Ambo David. And then sa February 23 naman, magkakaroon ng People Power protest against extrajudicial killings, no. Noong panahon ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, nakasabay yan mismo doon sa ICC hearing of charges niya, no, at kung saan iginigiit nga nila na itong mga pagtitipon na ito ay nananatiling mahalaga at dapat pagpukusan ng publiko, kaya naman inaanyayahan nila na makidalo ang mga tao rito.
Arles, last question. Pinapakita kasi natin si Tindig Pilipinas co-convener Kiko Aquino D. Nung huli natin siyang nakausap, ang isang malaking problema ay parang mabilis mawala ang galit ng mga tao. So just going back to Danny's question, ano ba ang napipisil nila? Ang tao ba ay galit na o parang it's the typical Filipino mentality na resilient tayo, we move forward, we move on? Ano ba?
Sa mga nabanggit niya kanina, Denise, yung kabukod doon kasi sa galit daw na nararamdaman, may mga pagpapanagot na talagang dapat palaging masiguro, no? Tinanong din natin kung meron bang mga calls, kasi kung maalala nyo, isa sa mga mainit na usapin, pababain sa pwesto si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, gayon din si Vice President Sara Duterte, at ano yung magiging kasunod na mangyayari dito. Ayon sa kanila, hindi daw ito yung prioridad at kanilang pangunahing tawag, no? Kasi daw may iba't ibang mga pamamaraan naman para masiguro na mapanagot yung mga lokal na opisyal o mga mga opisyal ng ating pamahalaan na nakaangkla syempre sa ating konstitusyon. Pero sa kanila, patuloy nilang iginigiit na dapat managot, tigilan ang korupsyon at katiwalian, pati yung mga pagsasabwatan, no, and syempre kasunod noon yung pagbabawal ng political dynasty, yung existence nito, no, kung saan nga sa House at least ay mayroong 21 bills na nakabinbin doon, no, magkakaibang muka, magkakaiba ang forma, pero isa daw dapat yung layunin nito, yung overall na kabutihan ng publiko. Actually si Father Robert Reyes ay may hamon nga doon sa mga political dynasts na kumaari wag silang tumakbo sa isang eleksyon at hayaan na pumili yung publiko kung sino yung gusto nilang mamumuno para sa kanila. And from there on, makikita daw yung tunay na progreso at kakayanan ng mga tao na mamuno sa kanilang mga nasasakupan.
Yan ay kung may magkusa, Arles.
Correct. Yan pa rin ang malaking tanong. Kasi, Denise, if you remember, parang iba't ibang degree ng political dynasty yung pinag-uusapan.
That's
may
right.
second degree, may third degree, some up to fourth degree.
Pa.
And it's still more daw yung kailangan dahil baka friend ng kapamilya and then relative business partners, it's still a long, long way to go at least.
Mahaba pa ang usapan. Well, thank you very much for your report. Again, that was our mobile journalist, Arles de los Santos.
This is Afternoon Delight here on One News. We just need to pause for another break and we'll be right back.
February 11th, 1990. Nelson Mandela is freed in South Africa after the black activist spends 27 years in captivity under the country's apartheid rule.
I stand here before you not as a prophet, but as a humble servant of you, the people.
4 years later, Mandela is elected South Africa's president in its first multiracial elections after apartheid is abolished. 1945. During the final months of World War II, the top Allied leaders signed the Yalta Accords in Ukraine, then part of the Soviet Union. The accords play a part in the split between Washington and Moscow as the two superpowers later enter the Cold War. 1979. In Iran, followers of the Ayatollah Khomeini seize power, establishing an Islamic fundamentalist regime. Months later, dozens of Americans at the U.S. Embassy in Iran's capital, Tehran, are taken hostage and held captive for 444 days. And 1847. Inventor Thomas Edison is born in Milan, Ohio. Among his many inventions, the electric light bulb, the phonograph, and the motion picture camera. Today in History, February 11th. Carlotta Bradley, The Associated Press.
And you're still watching Afternoon Delight. Thank you for staying with us. Now, Danny, okay, this is a part of the program where we feature yummy treats na pang late lunch o kaya naman merienda.
Best part.
Best part.
Best part of the
have
program.
To agree. At yung theme natin for this week is mango.
As you can see.
Oo. So medyo dessert ang peg natin today.
Sayang naman yung pagka-slice nito. Parang nasayang yung...
ang
kakain ba tayo ngayon? Totoo ba? Okay.
Oh.
So you know, Denise, how, diba, in France, French fries are just called fries.
Oh.
Abroad, our mango is called Philippine mango.
Philippine mango.
In every part of the globe, this specific variety is really called Philippine mango. So, kilalang kilala talaga
Pero
tayo.
Distinct kasi yung lasa. Kasi I was out of the country 2 months ago, kung saan sikat din yung kanilang mangoes, ano? Pero sabi ko parang iba talaga yung lasa ng Philippine mangoes.
Exactly. Pinifreeze pa nga ito eh.
Alam mo, kung
Is it the season ba ngayon?
I'm not sure. Kung
Not
ano
sure.
yung-
Alam ko may isang harvest season, diba? Tapos, ang dami talaga, ang mura. Tapos the rest of the year, ang mahal.
Ang mahal-mahal. Oo nga, hindi nga
Sobrang
bumibili ng
mahal na
mangga eh.
kaloka.
Pero alam mo, sa totoo lang, nung bata ako, na-experience mo ba yun? Yung ginaganon?
I still do that.
Oh, really? Yung
I did that
ginagawang
today
grid?
with my granola.
Ang sarap.
Diba? With yogurt. Ang sarap. But also, what I love is just picking, I don't know in your village, but kami, ang dami namin green mango sa village. Free for all. Tapos kumukuha talaga kami.
Kung kanino kung saan bumagsak.
As long as it's outside daw the house.
Pwede.
Pwede. Outside
Free
the
for all.
bakuran. If it's inside na mahulog
Siyempre,
doon sa kanila.
Nga na maakyatin pa natin yun.
Iinis yung mga tao, diba? Pero syempre lahat umiikot-ikot. Tapos kumukuha. Sayang din eh.
Oo naman.
So,
mas napakasarap na
nakaka-excite.
Philippine mangoes. Philippine
sige,
mangoes
last,
talaga.
tapos
Go ahead, enjoy our merienda.
Mm.
Daanan natin ngayon
Okay.
ang ating stories on social media.
All right.
First one, on the Philippine Star via Life, one headline reads, "Here are signs a relationship will last according to wedding photographers."
Nako, this is such an important topic for us. Public ba?
Oo. Oo.
Public ba to?
Public naman, public.
Well,
Oo.
very excited for you.
Thank
But
you.
we're in very different life phases right now. Diba? Ikaw, you're so excited to get married. Ako, I've just finalized my divorce. And I'm celebrating my freedom.
Of course, as
diba?
you should.
So, 2 types of love siguro. The love that could last forever and self-love that's also forever.
That's right. Pero ito, agree ka ba dito sa mga tips, mga signs ng photographers?
Na parang sino magpa-plan daw kung equal planning yung
Oo.
wedding. That's what I know, what I've read scientifically or statistically, at least, not scientifically, is that the bigger the wedding, the shorter the marriage.
Bakit kaya, no?
I don't know. Siguro, wala. The simpler it is, the more meaningful with the few people that you like, diba? I guess it's the same thing with friendship, diba? The bigger the circle, the
That's
smaller
true.
the circle. As you get older, so the deeper the relationship with people. Something like that. But that was the one I knew more about the wedding issue rather than this.
Ito kasi meron pa yung sabi, during the photo shoot daw, kapag the way they hold each other's hands.
Baka naman stressed lang,
Oo nga
diba?
eh.
Pero maraming issues din, diba? When you're under pressure, it's a lot of money,
That's
there's
right.
a lot of external noise. It's not the same as how you are as a couple at home, right?
Oh, sige nga, alamin natin yung baka yung mga viewers natin, meron din silang tips. Kung kayo po ay kasal na napakatagal, let us know kung ano yung tips ninyo. But we move on to our next topic, still on the Philippine Star. YouTube says it is not social media in landmark addiction trial.
That is a good question, no? I mean, I don't know about you because you're much younger than me, but I did not grow up in the YouTube generation. But the people, siguro 5 years younger than me, parang they wake up, YouTube na. And I even remember like some friends of mine na younger, we learned accounting in YouTube. We learned this on YouTube.
Talaga?
Yeah, and then now nga, I was going to my doctor, he's like, I'm grateful there's YouTube because now my patients, study. There are a lot of legit. Of course, there's a lot of fake news also. But people know what they're talking about before they visit him. So I'm not too sure it's a social media thing, but just a different way of disseminating the information. I'm not addicted to YouTube at all. I only use it for specific things. I don't know, nakaka-addict ba? Because that was the main issue.
I think
nitong trial, diba?
Yun na nga eh, oo. Kasi
harmful ba siya? Harmful.
Well, I guess if your life revolves around just scrolling, I think it's ang addictive actually is the doom scrolling eh. 'Di ba?
Kaya also for children, 'di ba? Yung shorts. Yeah.
Oo, yun naman talaga.
Nakakadindol.
Kasi yung attention span daw, yun talaga yung tinatarget ng mga short form media nga ba tawag sa ganun? Oo.
That's a very big debate. You're right. Kasi ngayon meron ng shorts yung YouTube eh. Before it was really just, 'di ba, horizontal format.
Instructional videos.
Oo, ngayon iba na.
Oo.
Ngayon medyo social nga siya. Tama.
Sige, let us know kung kayo ba ay addicted also to YouTube. Kung kami naman ang inyong pinapanood, ay why not? Binabati po namin ngayon ang lahat na nanonood sa Afternoon Delight
diba?
live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and on TikTok.
Alright, let's read. Meron bang mababasang mga comments
Wala
dyan?
sa phone. Hold on.
Natutuwa rin kami dyan sa mga comments ninyo. So keep them coming. But yun na nga, I mean, it's very useful for these types of dissemination of information. We're in the digital age and digital first na rin ang mga tao ngayon. This is the country with the most Facebook penetration na ayan. Greetings from sa labas, hindi sa loob. Hello, Ma'am Denise, Pops, Lourdes, happy Wednesday, present po. Wala si Lord,
birthday
but
ni
we
Lord.
will let him know. I'm keeping his chair warm. Beautiful, Ma'am Denise. Happy birthday, Sir Lourdes. Hello to both. Beautiful. Watching from El Pueblo, Novaliches, Quezon City. Ano pa ba? Hope your day is lovely. Ano to? Seryoso ba? She's divorced. Comments pa ba ganyan? Naku, wag na lang nating dala niya. I'm a high-functioning YouTube addict. Ayan, na-confirm na meron talagang mga YouTube addict. I guess it's the same as social media. Diba? Instagram's very hard to quit.
It is.
It is. And once you do a detox, it's amazing. Diba?
Ako, what I do usually is I refrain from posting as many stories just because naka-experience na ako ng before na, ay, nandyan din ako, nakita kita. Yung medyo, sometimes it's kinda...
Yeah, too much
You have to protect your privacy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Location-wise.
Yeah.
Oh, location-wise.
Yan talaga, diba?
Oo, location-wise.
For us, hindi na lang natin itatag yung location. Or late post.
Late post
akala
na
mo nga
lang.
nasa Hong Kong ako.
Oo, akala ko nasa Hong Kong
2 weeks
ka.
later na.
Teka lang, pahabol na bati pa si Jet Jojo. Greetings, mga tita. Talagang pinanindigan natin ang tita.
Like tita.
Oo. DJ Molina, hello, Tita Dani and Tita Denise.
my gosh.
Watching from La Union.
Oh, I love La Union. Napakaganda.
Oh nga, di ba, when you went
I just came
there?
from there and I reconnected with my roots kasi taga La Union pala yung lola ko.
Oh,
ang ganda
that's
pala
fun.
there. It's wow. Very impressive, very impressive place. So glad we have viewers from all over.
Oo, ay batiin ko na rin pala ang masugid nating viewers, everyday nanonood to Danny, si Tito Radel and Tita Jane Katapia.
And hope you're watching today as well.
Sino pa? Suki natin, Alex Fuentes, Elmo Cardenas. We don't need a phone for that. Nandiyan si Muggsy Alcantara. Oo, madami sila everyday. Tito Mike Policarpio, Prof. Mark Pasco, Marion Ladja, at saka si Lulu.
Grabe! Fans na fans.
Fans na fans. Okay.
Love the fans. All right. Well, thank you for watching and keep watching. That will have to do for this midweek, February 11, 2026. Thank you for watching Afternoon Delight. My name is Danny Laurel, sitting in for birthday boy, Lord De Vera.
And I'm Denise Tan. Happy birthday to my partner, Tito Lord De Vera, na kanina sinabi natin 35 years old lang.
Mukha talaga.
Ibang klase. Join us again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Until then, kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a delightful afternoon.